That was really funny. That was really funny. Yeah. Yeah. What people don't know is that he just counted us in and went five, four, three, two, one. Give me
Yeah.
a second. Oh, crap.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't press the button. Oh, I missed it. Yeah, thanks. They can? Well,
Yeah,
that's
we
good.
know
We're
that.
telling them the
We're
story of
telling
what
the
just
truth.
happened.
You know what this is? This is the truth.
This is the
Here's the
truth.
truth.
The truth.
Now look at Stephen Murphy's given us such a lovely message.
See, I don't see messages. I don't understand how this
Well,
works. So
then you're missing out on Steve
I
Murphy saying nice things to us.
well, I like Steve Murphy. I like it when he
I
says nice things.
Well, he gave us love.
Well, why? Okay, I probably should have figured this out beforehand, guys. If I'm just on the Zoom screen, I'm not
No, you got to
seeing.
go to Facebook or YouTube,
I can go to YouTube.
FaceTube.
Oh,
Yeah,
look, I see it on
FaceTube.
the. Oh, wow, I see. Holy cow! It hasn't started
It,
yet. People were saying things.
no,
Yeah.
this
I'm
is
reading it.
live.
I'm reading
Yeah.
what it said. I know we're on. So
Oh, I see.
so yeah, I'm actually
Yeah,
reading the thing that it said. So watch this, guys. This is me figuring out how to use a computer. Welcome to our very exciting
this is so
show.
great.
It's so
So great.
great. Wow. Well, awesome. Here we are. We're doing an update on Turtle Power Volume 2, otherwise known as TMNT Evolution Mutation Reboot.
Mutation and reboot.
Yeah, I almost didn't say the middle part. I was having a bit of a brain fart
And
there. Yeah, the and part. That was the one I couldn't remember. Yeah, and I'm actually literally working on stuff as we speak. I'm actually coloring designs for Steve Varner to turn into 3D. Like I'm actually doing that while we're passing the time, which is why I was thrown off by this. So why don't I figure out how to put out YouTube? Well, Randall says something fun.
well, somebody just said we believe in you, and I, of course, say in all caps, somebody has to.
Yeah, really.
So let's introduce ourselves. My name is Randall Lobb,
I'm Isaac
and
Fisher. Thanks. But you jumped on my introduction. Thanks, man.
we also have here Tyler Omachinsky, and we have on the let's say he's working the Neve board. He's like working the board, like Steely
That's me,
Dan,
yeah. I'm
Mark
working the
Hussey
board
there working
here,
the board.
trying to moderate some comments, but I'll butt out most of the time here.
You should butt in, butt in. So where are you, Isaac? You're in your toy store.
Pardon me.
You're in your toy store.
I am. I'm actually in the creative space in the toy store, which is actually the maker space, the back half of the toy store. I do own a toy store in rural Ontario, Canada, and in the whole point of owning the toy store here in Canada was to have a toy manufacturing company in the back.
Why don't
And
we contextualize that?
yeah,
Like, let's just back up real quick, and if there's people here that will know.
mhm,
Like, it's not a huge bunch of people. These probably people are almost like our friends because they've been hanging around in the turtle space where we've been hanging around for a
mhm,
decade and a half. Why don't
yeah.
we just give the little 411? You can catch up on what you did.
Yeah. So basically, the 411 on all of this is sorry, I was distracted by Mark. He was saying something in my ear. Sorry, say that again, Rand. You want to talk about the 411 of who we are and our company, or the whole thing that we're
Well,
doing?
yeah, I think just the thing that you're in a toy store is
Yeah.
a driver for a lot of what happened with the Kickstarter, how the Kickstarter became itself.
Right. Fair enough.
Um,
Okay. So let's
it
go there.
was,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the only I think the only reason that happened is because we did the Turtle Doc, the first one, Turtle Power.
Well, there's like a
Fair to say,
number of things that happened as a result of
yeah,
doing the turtle. But Mark is we don't see Mark for some reason, but he's actually in our film studio. So we have the film studio, the makerspace studio, the store, and the museum. These are separate parts. It sounds like we have a lot of buildings, but we don't. We actually just have
yeah,
a couple of old buildings that are in a very small town. And Yeah, you guys have the train station there, which is where we have our post facility, and we do movie stuff out of there. And during it was actually we were shooting another doc, if you recall. It was a lovely documentary on the history of Baywatch. We were shooting that for another company, and then the pandemic happened, so we couldn't travel because we're in Canada, so we couldn't travel anymore. So I decided I had a young family, and I was kind of getting a bit tired of traveling on the road. And so I said, hey, why don't I buy a condemned building and restore it from zero and put a toy museum and a toy factory in it. And then the retail side of it just sort of was a way to try to generate some income to keep the lights on. But retail is not easy. So yeah, that's where I am right now. Is I'm actually in, and there's like so that like that brick wall there. That's like a 170-year-old hotel that burnt down once, and that's still the same wall. There it is.
You know, there's stuff behind me right now that burnt in the fire right there
Yeah, but it's dark
in
in
the
your
station
space.
in 2016.
Yeah. So yeah,
Pointing
we're
right
getting
there.
crazy. So like basically, we that's part of the reason why we are doing uh the Kickstarter as multifaceted as we are, because we're
Yeah.
filmmakers and toy makers and content makers and artists and illustrators, and we kind of can, and writers, and we can kind of add all of these pieces together to make to, let's say, celebrate the content that we have collected for 15 years on the history of this franchise, which is super well, it's unique. It's a unique scenario because it's unique in the sense that not only are we putting on a really big movie, a really long movie that can kind of go through a lot more history than we could fit in a conventionally released movie, but we can also then dig into all of the stuff that we just have sitting on drives. And as we've discussed many times recently, that we live in a world of remix and remix culture and video essays and people taking what we have released in the documentary, like the 30 seconds of like a thing that was online, and then incorporating it into their content. And in a way, we're kind of saying, hey, everybody, here's all of our content all at once, throwing it all out there, and to kind
Yeah.
of help capitalize it, I guess is a crass word of saying it, but to help,
It's not really capitalized. It's what the reality is. When we started this enterprise in
Mhm.
2008, and by enterprise, I mean, I don't think we had any idea when we were going to do Turtle Power Part One. We didn't think how wide it would take, a path, but also we did take into consideration the idea of fan to fan contact, right? Remember that
Yeah,
those first discussions, we were literally making this, where
yeah,
we would collect a bunch of material and we would distribute that material ourselves in a way that would make a lot of um, well, it'd be disruptive to the film industry in our heads at the time, right? Like
yeah,
that we were the kind of fans of things who would say, why would it have to be a certain length? Why would it have to be 88 minutes? Or why would it have to be like this or that? And
yeah.
that you could curate and distribute enormous amounts of material through the tool, and the tool being the internet. And part of that comes from, let's break it in chunks. You're a fan of things, and you're one of those people. You're like the target audience for that sort of thing, like a Camp Crystal Lake or the RoboCop doc. You like the big,
Exactly. Yeah,
rich, deep dive.
yeah,
And for
yeah,
me, it was more like the thinking of it at the time came from that techno utopianism, where you would look at things that were happening, like Jonathan Colton was doing a song a week or a song a day or whatever he was doing at the time, where you'd see these people saying, I'm putting my stuff online in a way that's allowing me to connect with my audience in a meaningful sense. And you would really try, and we were thinking we would approach the internet like that. That's our way to then, take over that sort of little corner that we developed for ourselves out of this content. But then Hollywood bought it, which shocking.
yeah,
Who knew? But then the thing is, then that means you're not doing the thing that you thought you were going to do. You make a movie,
yeah. The way that
and then
they
when
want you to
Hollywood,
do it. Yeah, yeah,
but then when Hollywood, and Hollywood's a stupid way to say it, but when the
yeah.
film industry decided it didn't want what we were doing on this particular franchise, we've just come full circle and gone right back to what we talked about in the very first meeting, in a sense.
Exactly. And even what, and I hate to use this term, but we promise, so to speak. I mean, I was on message boards going back to 2007, 2008, the Technodrome,
Yeah.
shout out. And I would say, like, we've got all this stuff and we're going to put it all out there. And then people start going, when are you going to do that? 15 years later, here we are finally doing it. And I
Well,
mean, there's like, because like you're saying, Rand, it's like, it's not necessarily that there's like a big bad machine saying you can or cannot do things, but
No,
there's a sort of an
no.
expectation for things to pattern out a certain way. And as we all know, the way we all consume media radically changed in the last few years, even from the time that we released Turtle Power Volume 1 now, as we keep saying. When we released Turtle Power, physical media was still a thing. Physical, like there were still DVDs were popular. People were buying DVDs. Paramount released it that way. Now, they never did put out a Blu-ray, but from there to now, to say to a big company that has a lot of expectation in terms of their revenue stream, hey, let's put out a 8-disc Blu-ray special edition set that a very specific audience is going to be interested in. They're going, our machine's just not set up for that. So it's casting no aspersions on that. It's just the way it is.
The other thing is they don't see the same value proposition in documentary material or in the deep dive that the fans would see. Or
there's also a lot more of it now, right? There's a ton more of it. When we were starting, we were one of the first ones to the game. Not a lot of people are doing that.
To be fair, and by the way, we're going into detail that they don't need. Yeah, he likes physical media. Doom guy. I'm seeing his mail.
Well, it's totally true. It's like a lot of collectors go, and a lot of us. I mean, is it any wonder that record sales, physical LP sales are still a thing, and they're coming back in retail stores, in malls. People are tired of they're tired of this thing. They want to hold something in the hand again. But
even if they aren't tired of it, collecting is fun inherently. It's rewarding inherently, which this Kickstarter is a, I mean, I'm going to use a stupid word, but it's a tie-in to that. It takes the elements that people enjoy. Obviously you can see what's behind all of us. We like because you want the markers of the franchise that you like, or the markers of your childhood that you like, however you want to word it. And
I was just looking at this. My proton pack. It's my proton, right? I was fixing it today.
But in the making of this, look, Courtney Horton has a question which we'll deal with. Yeah. There's a point at which you think, I don't want to just leave this on a hard drive. I don't want to have to try and convince someone at a movie studio is the wrong word, but a distribution company to say, no, this is all inherently valuable. And the kind of notes you would get would be they would say, nobody really wants to see all that. And when they say nobody, they mean they don't care about 10,000 or 1,000 or, 1,800 people who want to see it all. And we're thinking, we know those people are there. How can we make it available? And so this is really the only way.
Exactly. And that's why having the book and the toys help to elevate the entire thing to a place where, it's more than just a film. It's all of the archive. It's a celebration. And also because we are this unique multi-headed Hydra machine that's let's make toys. Let's do that. Let's do books. Let's do that. Then we can kind of bring it all together. And again, we've said this, and let's actually, bring up some of these points about the actual Kickstarter, is that, many people have asked questions like, how do I get just this? I only want the book, or I only want, this thing. And there has been some confusion as you see the one of the big mistakes that happened was somebody brought up today where it was my mistake. I had titled the Blu-ray tier the collector edition, and then the Blu-ray tier with the bonus features is also called the collector edition. Yeah, you will. And
part of that.
And somebody said, which one comes with the bonus features?
Part of that is it's when 3 or 4 of us are working on this and you're error checking and looking at things, everything slides through. And being honest, I'm struggling to read right now.
Yeah.
Having trouble reading screens. For those of you that don't wear a bike helmet, wear your bike helmet.
Yeah. Head injuries.
Let's answer some of these questions.
Yes, I'm gonna. Go ahead, Mark. And
we've got a few questions coming in here, and this is why we're here. These guys could talk forever if I didn't butt in, guys.
Yeah.
So we've got Courtney Horton has a couple questions. This one you might want to answer after the video, Isaac, that we're going to show tonight. How many points of articulation will the figures have?
Do you want to play that one in the video when we do?
Why don't
Is
we
that
answer
actually?
a couple more questions? We'll
Yes,
come
yeah,
back to
yeah.
that.
We'll come
Let's
down
go
with
back.
so
We're
we
gonna
will
come
that
back
one
to
will
that
be
one,
yeah, that
Courtney.
one will be answered in the video that we're going to play,
Yeah.
which is a specific update on the figures themselves.
Eric, a home mystic, I think. I have a question. Will the documentary and book look at IDW turtles?
Yes.
Like talk to the writers over the years and artists too?
Some.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this is where time and place will come into play, and not without kind of giving away too much. We when we did interviews, especially with something like an ongoing comic book, we would be doing interviews at IDW at a specific time. And obviously, since then, they keep making comics, which is great. So we
Yeah.
might not say cover specific elements of the comics because at the time that we did those interviews was a few years ago now. It's obviously since Turtle Power 1, but they've done other things. But we actually honestly did a current IDW artist interview last weekend. So here we are, still actually shooting that content. So
Yeah.
the long answer to that question is yes. We will be looking at IDW as definitely part of the continued history that we continue to shoot.
And to answer sort of the core of that question, we did talk to Bobby Curnow. We did talk to Tom Waltz.
Yeah.
We have a few other
Dan
people.
Duncan.
And obviously, and Kevin, obviously.
Kevin, Ben Bishop. Yeah, those guys.
So look at what Steve says. What was your first impression on seeing Tmnt 90 content that was never seen by other people, never seen before? That's a you question, Isaac.
Yeah. Well, there is a specific kind of moment in time where, and this sounds, maybe a little bit silly or braggy even, but it's like those moments where you remember where you were and in a room, when JFK died. I wasn't born. So no, but it's kind of one of those things is that I was dubbing tapes as we do when you're ingesting VHS tapes into a computer. And during one of our early tours in 2009, we were kind of handed this stack of VHS tapes from Kevin and from Ryan in different places. And I knew what might be there. I had been told what might be there, but you just don't know. And so when, every new tape you'd put in there and you would just sit there and go, oh my God, they had a camera in the room at Playmates while they were doing these meetings. Oh my God. Now, the one thing, I guess I did know that they had, I think we were told, well, maybe I didn't know this, but the fact, because if you remember, Rand, we did this in one of the many interviews we did with Kevin. We were in his garage at this house we were staying at that he was selling, which is a crazy story. And we were doing one of his master interviews for the doc, the early one in 2009. And he talks about
for the first doc,
for the first doc. And he talks about the moment they walked on set and there was a turtle, Michelangelo, on the street, and they were like, holy cow, it's live, it's real. And Michelangelo was wearing a sombrero hat. Well, when I got to that VHS tape and stuck it in, the first shot is Michelin Sisti beside like kind of some lighting equipment, sort of dancing with this sombrero hat. And I'm like, wow, like Kevin's memory was captured by Peter's camera in that moment. And so, yeah, like a lot of that stuff, the sort of the juicy bits were pulled out and in the first Turtle Power documentary. In this case, you're getting kind of everything in between as a bonus feature, or one of the many bonus features. So you're kind of saying, okay, here's the equivalent of, let's say, 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes of on-set footage that was taken, which is, as far as we understand, the only on-set footage that was ever taken of that film. So that will be something that everybody will be able to, that the backs of Kickstarter at that level will be able to enjoy right there. Like now I can sit through that entire hour and 45-minute toy meeting, so that stuff is pretty cool to kind of sit with. There's a video coming out tomorrow that I will shout out to our good friend Pixel Dan. He has a really cool exclusive first ever outside of us look at some of this archive stuff. He's doing a reaction video that's coming tomorrow that's going to impart, like, I can be enthusiastic about this because everybody has seen what we've done, but this is somebody outside of us that's looked at this for the first time, and his reaction, I've seen it. It's pretty cool. Like, his reaction is what I hope everybody's is, where it's like, can you believe what we're looking at here?
I'm going to cut you off. That was one answer to one question.
We have 15 minutes,
So,
right?
No,
let me
we
hit
have
them
as
real
much
quick.
time as
Yeah.
possible.
Let me
Hit some
hit
I was
them
going to
quick.
say, Isaac, too, one thing we hope to do in this live streams is actually, weekly, maybe give you some sneak peeks. So if you guys let us
Yeah.
know what you're curious to see, because we want to build community here. We want to build a team here. We want to deliver to you guys what you want because we have all this stuff.
Yeah.
So help us fine tune it. So this is awesome. Couple more questions. We'll go back to the articulation. These ones are kind of connected. Will it be possible to talk Varner into doing a signed edition from RGC TMNT? And Courtney Horton
Probably.
asks, have Peter and Kevin already signed the card backs? So kind of two questions in one, but all about signatures.
Signings.
And that's a good idea about Varner.
Varner, it's not so much a question of talking him into it. That's totally part of the plan. He can do signed editions of either the figures themselves or of the card backs. I think, Mark, we have got the graphic up now on the bonus or the stretch goals, because the stretch goal, one of the big stretch goals we'd love to hit if we get there, but it's a big goal. Is to be able to go back down and film Varner's extensive archives. Now, we've been to Varner Studios a few times. He's more or less retired now. These may be the last figures he's kind of maybe ever going to do. And we would love to go back down and open up kind of, because we've stayed really in touch with him, close in touch, and I've become friends with him over the years in such a way that we can go back and say, all right, let's dig out everything. Let's pull all the boxes out. Let's go through everything. So not only do we want to do signed editions of Varner's. Again, I'm answering one question. I understand this. But we want to be able to go back down and let's do a mini doc, just a straight up mini doc just on Varner. And let's look at his crazy legacy. Like, I mean, that guy sculpted the life-size King Kong for the Dino De Laurentiis reboot of King Kong in the 70s. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, this guy worked on Star Wars toys onto it now, So yeah, we want to share his story and share his legacy in a really rich way. And so, yes, the answer is yes. We can get him to sign stuff. We're going to do some other cool stuff with Varner for sure.
Okay, let me hit a bunch quick. Will we cover the Mutant Mayhem film? No, we were not allowed. They did not want us to be involved in that.
Shout out to Turtle Nexus. We love you. We love you, Turtle Nexus.
We really wanted to. The question, what was the most shocking information you discovered over the years while filming? That's enormous. And I think if we were going to answer it very quickly, it would be that Peter and Kevin were more deeply involved in things that were not attributed to them than anyone knows.
Yes, and we could actually have real evidence of that, which is really cool.
There are common theories as to who invented certain things, and we have definitive answers to some of those questions, and that to some people would be shocking, not to everybody. What is happening, Maddie? What's happening is we're doing a Kickstarter, and it's going to be big. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Did Maddie just stumble into the wrong video?
He just fell into this video. Poor Maddie J. Jade Cookie says, what weekly live streams would be awesome? I think the answer is they would be awesome. Yeah, that's the answer. Will the documentary have French subtitles? That's complicated. It can be done. It is hard to do with something so enormous.
Yeah. We might have to rely on... Yeah, but they might have to rely on some help with that one.
Yeah, if we sell the documentary,
Mark's going to answer that. Mark's going to answer that.
I think we can do AI versions of all languages, because of the 4 hours of movie, 4 hours plus. Honestly, it's going to be longer, and probably 12 plus hours of bonus features. That's just a lot. I mean, it would break the bank if we were doing it professionally, but with AI now, I think we can do almost any language. So if you let us know, and then maybe there's someone in the community that would help us vet them. That's, I guess, the way we would get them really nice and accurate.
So let me just jump on a couple of these ones. Love your videos, Turtle Nexus. That's we definitely want to talk to him. The next one there. Sorry, go. Which one did we miss? Do
you see? This is a common question? Is everything that was in Turtle Power going to be in this new documentary? No, this is all new.
It's all new. There are certain shots or interview times that will be incorporated, but it's content that wasn't used. But primarily, it's new shot. newly shot.
It's new material. It's material. It may have been contemporaneous with Turtle Power, but it's not from Turtle Power.
Yes.
That's
now,
not our movie anymore. We don't
awesome,
have Turtle Power.
Yeah, Awesome Jay. Will this documentary cover feature interviews from people with Playmates, 2007 TMNT film with Kevin Monroe, Next Mutation, 2003 Fox Kids? Yes to all of the above. Easy answer. 2014
the
remake
2014
movie,
remake
no,
movies.
Not yet.
No.
Yeah,
Paramount
unless
did
we
not
get
want us.
Yeah, not unless if we get really, really, really high up in the in our stretch goals, the one of the highest stretch goals we have, then it's possible because we would love to keep shooting. But this is a massive franchise.
If we raise enough money to buy Paramount Viacom from David Ellison and Skydance, we just will.
Yeah.
And that we'll do everything. We'll do everything.
Yeah, exactly.
All the things.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe, Magic the Gathering, like pick Hasbro, put it in a bucket, shake it up, Transformers.
Yeah. Would love to hear more about
that has
Steve
been
Varner.
pitched.
Yeah, Steve Varner, 100%.
Okay. I'll tell you something about Steve Varner. I'll just give them, they want to hear more, I'll just sell them one right now. He's nice. He's a nice guy.
He's a really nice guy. Yeah, he's a really great guy. He's really helped us a lot, and we'll look at some sculptures from him in a second.
Does the EP tier in Kickstarter include all add-ons? I know that would be a lot, but I figure there's no harm in asking.
When he says add-ons, well, essentially, yeah. If you look at the list of the EP tier, it actually has everything.
It's a bucket.
Yeah, it's all the bonus features. It's the discs. It's the all the toys and the books. Yeah, essentially, yeah. I think it includes almost all the add-ons. Now, do we want? Real quick, how do you access the Kickstarter? Well,
he's got it. He's got it.
Oh, he's already got the link. Okay, we can throw up the link. Another question, one more, and then we're going to look at a video. Another question, just clarified. Pickup read-along edition is the Blu-ray collector's edition, the one with the tons of unreleased scene footage. Okay, so I was going to answer that real quick in terms of a technicality. Again, for some reason, I named those two tiers very similarly. Just look at the point forms within each tier bucket, and they will say in digital copy of the film, digital copy of the bonus features, physical Blu-ray of the film, physical copy of the bonus features. So if a tier you're looking at says, book, and it only says the 4-hour film or the physical or the digital versions, that's what comes in that tier. Now, that is to say that many of the items are add-ons. So if you just want to build your own bucket, you can do that. So if you just look at that list of those things, those are relatively clearly outlined. If you're at a tier, it'll say what comes in it. Do we want to show this video, Mark, that shows some of the toy stuff, and then we can actually look more at it after if anybody has specific questions?
Yeah.
So this is like a 7-minute, real quick. It's 7 minutes. Was it 7 minutes? The one, are you playing that one? The one I did today? Yeah. Do we want to play the whole thing, or do we want? Okay. So this is a video I did today on updating specifically on the toys. So I'm going to be sitting exactly where I am with a different shirt on. Here we go. Go for it, Mark.
Hey, Turtle fans, we're going to do a little update here on what we're going to do for the action figures for our Kickstarter campaign. A few people in the campaign have actually asked some questions regarding how the figures are going to look, how they're going to be posed, articulation, stuff like that, whether even we have the capacity or how we're going to make the action figures. So I'm going to give a little update here, and hopefully I will give more updates as we progress through the development during the campaign, because these things are going to change pretty quickly. So the idea in the campaign, if you haven't seen it, is that we're going to do, starting with 3 action figures, a Kevin and Peter for the first time as action figures, and a snot gun guy or Ponto Commando, depending on what we call them. The idea behind these is we're doing retro-style, Playmate-style action figures sculpted by Steve Varner, who was the original TMNT sculptor back in '87. So as some people will notice, in a human figure like Vernon here, they did have this bow-legged, knee-bent thing. They were thicker. The hands were thicker. They're proportioned in a specific way that's classic to that style. With our Kevin and Peter figures specifically, right now they're far more human proportions, right? Their arms and their legs and their head feels more like a modern action figure, more like something you would see out of a NECA or something like that, but in a larger scale. So we're developing this mode a little further on into looking more like this. So you've bulked out all the proportions. And the reason that we did these like this, and actually it's something that came up recently, is we're probably going to be offering very soon in the Kickstarter statues that are larger than this. They're posed in a in a realistic pose. The two of them, Kevin and Peter, standing back to back on a base, and it'll hopefully be bronze as an option or faux bronze as an option. So that will be an add-on coming soon. So that's the Kevin and Peter figures. The other figures we're working on are this is the figure based on one of the original concepts where all of Shredder's bad guys were going to be human at one point before they became mutant animals. So we're taking out some of those original concepts that Playmates was working on back in '87, and we're are basing our designs based on those to try to bring those never before produced action figures to the world. So one of the other questions that people have asked is whether or not we can do this. So a lot of time when you see independent toy companies producing action figures or products, they're going overseas and getting minimum runs in the thousands of parts. We actually don't have to do that. For the past six or so years, we've been developing a toy manufacturing company in our creative space outside of the film studio. We actually have another studio here in Ontario that I'm sitting in right now, which is a design studio and a makerspace studio. We have printers, we have 3D printers, we have injection mold machines, and we're actually developing all of the process to produce these toys here in-house domestically. So that's also part of the process where, because we're doing a very limited run, that's why the price is where it is, because you have to develop all of the tooling, create all the tooling, even though you're only going to maybe produce a few hundred items. So this is an example of very high detail metal tooling that we do. This is actually for a knight here who came out of this mold, and to get this really, really high detail metal tooling to work in injection mold machines is something we actually have developed and are doing here in-house. So hopefully that sort of demonstrates what we can do. Here's also, this is one actually is one of the signed ones. Sorry we didn't have more of those. We kind of made a deal with Peter that he would do X amount signed, and Kevin did X amount signed. So this is actually one of Eastman's signed ones. So this is the card back for the Kevin Eastman figure, done by Ali Espinenzo, and he does the art, and he's fantastic. He does that old school style. And then the Peter one will be the same, but with the Peter information and the Peter cutout bio as well. We will be doing blister packs on those, and including this is kind of cool, including the the weapon sprue, and we're coming up with accessories that are specific Easter eggs kind of for Kevin and Peter, as well as homemade ninja weapons. Peter is photographed back in the 80s or in 84 with a wooden katana style sword in the house, so that's there. He's got a broomstick here as a bow staff. He's got a camcorder, which is sideways there, 1986 camera. A comic book for each of them. Now, in this case, I had the Turtles as an embossed cover, but I'm actually going to do New Gods as an embossed cover there, which was one of Peter's favorites. A slice of pizza, a Triceratops toy, and on Kevin's weapon sprue, we have another Easter egg, which is the cheese grater, which he put on his forearm when he was doing the dishes, and suggested, what if we had a bad guy with like a cheese grater forearm, and they were going to call him Great Man. His comic book page is The Losers, which is one of his favorite Jack Kirby comics. A lobster, because of course Maine, and he used to work in lobster restaurants. This is going to be difficult to get the look right, but to do a tinfoil Psy, because we actually have photos of them with early cosplayers who had made their own weapons, and you wrap up a Psy in tinfoil. The nunchucks just kind of look like nunchucks. So yeah, they both have weapon sprues that will go with them as well in that Playmate style. So we're super excited to bring these to life. They will be painted. There are gray versions that you can buy as well that are cheaper, and they will be articulated. Now, as another key point here is that the original Playmates had a turning head and the shoulders and the forearms. Now, we're probably not going to be able to do the forearms. We will do the head, the shoulders, and we'll likely do the waist, the swivel of the waist rather than the ball joints in here, because the ball joints is a whole other engineering feat that I'm not sure we'd actually be able to do at this price point, because that is a lot. There's more tooling. You have to do a whole other part that's on the inside. The way that the legs have to be split so the ball joint can be cast and stuff like that. So hopefully people aren't too disappointed, but we'll likely do, I should say, not the swivel of the waist, but more the Ghostbusters style. If you remember those figures where they had a split in the hips, so the legs could go into a sitting position, so they would go out in front, which is called all disc joints rather than ball joints. So that will be the way those are done. Anyway, hopefully this update has got some information and you enjoyed seeing the process of this. These will change kind of as we go. Actually, within this week, we're probably going to see new versions of these sculpts. So I'll come back for a new update at that time.
So the funny thing, I love that Courtney Horton just said Kevin should have a tank. I can't see if we can see my camera. So so I took a picture of the Kevin toy with a Batmobile, and then I did the same thing with a G.I. Joe tank. And
Courtney
I'm like,
Horton.
Yeah, so that's it. Actually, I totally thought of that as doing, okay, we should do Kevin with exclusive Batmobile and exclusive tank, and Peter can have a motorcycle and maybe even a Segway.
Steve Murphy gets the lobster. Steve Murphy gets the lobster.
I'm glad that somebody gets the lobster, because that was like, Maine, right? Working at a lobster.
I will say this. Somebody said, did you add any more behind the scenes footage of the 87 cartoon? It does not exist, sir. I am afraid, Dominic, that you cannot find it anywhere.
Not that we found yet. Well, hopefully we find it with the long lost animation test from the James Cameron Aliens cartoon they were going to do, because that actually really did happen too. So we should find
the other question here from Courtney. And by the way, Courtney Horton, I don't know who you are, but you cannot say your name without thinking that you spoonerize it. Hortney Horton. Like, it's impossible for me not to think.
Don't do that to poor Courtney.
Are they signing the front of the card backs so we can display?
Yeah, so why don't I show the Kevin signed one?
Dare you.
I do have it here. So this one, again, I got to switch to this so I can see my camera. So this one is signed by Kevin. The Peter card backs went out today in the mail to Peter's. So he will also sign those, and we will get them from him at some point. So Kevin's signature is up here, so we're trying to avoid where the blister goes.
Yeah.
So it's not hidden behind the blister. And just to hold up the back again.
So people know, it is not easy getting these in-demand gentlemen, some of whom don't like to go and do live events and stuff. It's hard to get them to sign.
Yeah.
So even getting any is amazing.
Yeah.
Is just amazing to get them. And when we were at that signing event with Kevin in London, Ontario, Isaac, you said the second day it eased off, but it was choked on Saturday. Like you can't interrupt him when he's busy, because the fans, they need their time. So it's tricky.
And so let me just really quick respond to somebody else, RJC_TMNT. Really cool to get card backs. I'm like, what a great idea. And it was, and we were just commenting on that when the live video was playing. That is a great tier add-on. It's just to literally throw the card backs out there. So we will totally.
Next question: that. Can the punked out commando shoot boogers? No, I don't believe so.
I don't know if that was the intention with the original toy.
Originally,
but yeah, and it was like there's these great drawings which you'll see in all the bonus features. There's these great drawings of their like here's a bowl with water, and you pour a packet of little gelatin beads into there, and they will soak up water, and you can jam them in the nose of the snot gun, and it will fire out with this little squishy back. So I mean, there's a lot of engineering that. Well, the idea behind it, not to go into the weeds, but the idea behind the entire initial launch, every single toy, all the turtles, all the bad guys, every one of them was supposed to have wacky action features. They were supposed to have a pistol grip that fit into their back like the Rock'em Sock'em ones. And you would squeeze it, and arms and legs would kick and stuff. So yeah, they were all supposed to have action features, but that was going to be too expensive. So that didn't happen. Question from Death Owl Customs: they aren't signed by both. There will be a number of card backs that are, yes, signed by both. Meaning, no, they're not signed by both. The Kevin card back, Kevin, or the Kevin figure, Kevin signed. The Peter figure, Peter signed. They come as a pair. So they're sold together. Well, when you get them, the set, you have both their signatures. You won't have one. Yes, you get both. Yes, they are not each signed by both. No, yeah, man, yeah. We have another question here. The question is, the comment, maybe an issue of scat next to their feet. That's actually fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really
But,
smart.
and that's why, like
Stephen
in,
Murphy seems to know where all the bodies are buried. That's for
yeah,
sure.
he does know some, and I mean that's why if you look at the, I was just playing with these. These are just real simple sketches to send to Steve of the skews, like the comic books that we're putting in there. I want to get him to try to emboss the letters on the,
Yeah.
and so we were discussing this last night. So the Peter one, I was originally going to have a turtle issue, but I thought, you know, what's better is to have an issue of New Gods, because that was one of his all-time favorite comics at the time, and
Plus,
the Kevin one is the Losers.
New Gods is coming back. Darkseid is coming back.
Right.
Dark Side, sorry. Extra accessory. Okay, Bus Kick and Turtles. These are some deep divers coming in here. You know, we all know Steve Murphy's a deep diver, but look at Turtle Nexus coming in strong.
Yeah, but so let me just ask. Let's just see if he responds. Bus Kicking Turtle Origins is the name I threw on there as like kind of the homage title block. Does he
Yeah.
does he? I'm assuming for somebody who has probably looked at our doc closer than we have, he knows the Bus Kicking Turtle story, and that was a story that we didn't know when we interviewed Peter. Like, he just threw it out one day on one of his second or third interviews that we did, and he was like, yeah, you know, it occurs to me this, and we're like, what?
It was one of those times. Remember, if you remember, it was like that trick I sometimes do where I make people talk about other things for a while, and then they do that thing where they suddenly go, you know what, I just remembered, and that's when you start doing the old
we have tricked you into saying what we want you to say.
Well, or that we didn't know we wanted you to
That's
say.
exactly it. Well, that is the trick, isn't it? We don't know what you know that we want you to say.
We should wind it up shortly, but let's just say this, that one of the reasons why our docs really work is that we are avoiding the checklist as much as we can. We're not coming into these with this sort of like, we have to get them. Maybe Isaac does some of this because that's his job. We have to get them to say this. We have to get them to say that. He's said that to me many times, but I resist. I talk about what they want to talk about. And that conversation with Pete, he just suddenly, you saw it happen live. Remember, we're sitting on that couch and he just went down a whole different road. And then we were like, let's crack him over to that hallway. You know, like you don't know what you're going to get. And that's good. It's the best way to do these interviews is to not have a set agenda that you're trying to make these guys run through this rat warren. It's so much better to just have a conversation and see where it goes. And the trick is knowing enough about everything around the subject matter. That's the nightmare scenario for people that don't have a wide range, you know, of background knowledge, because you're interviewing someone like Peter Laird. He remembers everything. Like, he's got a giant, and Kevin Eastman, for that matter, remember the details when he's talking about his his experiences in Los Angeles in the movie industry, the level of detail that he remembers, the meetings, the content of meetings.
It's like the detail, but at the same time, as we know, they were saying to the Playmates toy designers in that meeting in January 1987, they were like, we're honestly, you know, go to the cons and everybody's asking the same question. And again, it's kind of, they were almost not complaining, but they were like, oh my gosh, you know. And then he goes, what's the biggie? Well, how did you come up with the turtles? So if you imagine tapping the same moment in your life, in your memory, a million times, like, yeah, the nature of human memory is it will blur it to pieces. I mean, even our experience doing the doc, I'm probably the only one. I am the only one of the three of us that can say this, is that it radically affected, doing the doc for 15 years, radically affected my experience with the nostalgic memory of my childhood, because I damaged my, mental connection by adding a whole new context through which I see the brand. Whereas, when we started, I would look at the card back or the figure and I would go, I know exactly where I am as a child, and it was connected to that tissue. That tissue was fractaled into a million directions. And I'm not saying a bad thing; it just changed completely.
No, it's not bad at all. And Mark and I didn't have childhoods, as you've noted many times.
No, you were actually ported into this universe from another dimension.
Yeah. We were born old. Yeah. Death Owl Customs from Ottawa says, will you go more into depth on the Playmates line? And we actually do spend time with different people at Playmates. Some people that we're key in Playmates in and around 2017-18, and people who were there back in the old days.
Yeah, and the number one, yeah, there are elements of it that we did go in. There's elements of it I want to dive even further. But yeah, there's some missing links that weren't in the first doc that hopefully we can cover in this one. Yeah. Should we wrap it up with anything more specific on the actual Kickstarter itself?
Well, I'll just say this to the Kickstarter. There is a level of detail that is being included here that is not in a movie, that they will have access to other things to look at that will give them that perhaps some of the answers or some of the meat and potatoes that they're looking for. Anything about turtle pies in the dock? Maybe we should put a recipe up.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I mean, the truth is that yeah, like you said, Rand, there's actually something, you know, about that even in a 4-hour film, we're not including an hour and 40 minutes of Peter and Kevin discussing how to design the line at Playmates. So, as you just pointed out, even by the nature of all the elements around the second film, which is almost a retelling also in and of itself, or it is a retelling in and of itself, you can then go dig yourself into like sit in the room with them, listen to them discuss, what if he did this? How did he do that? And again, watch what Pixel Dan puts out tomorrow, because you'll see his critique, or not critique, but his commentary on those moments that you can extract from the ancillary content.
And here's our last question. It's from Death Owl Customs again. They love the toys. Will you have anything about NECA and how they fought to make modern Tmnt toys? And here's the thing.
Yeah.
There is, but I don't think he said a lot of that. That's
no, he didn't. Well,
in an interview or off camera. Right?
We spent some time, many times with Trev Zammit, and there, I believe on that's the difficult thing with my memory sometimes.
That's what I was thinking.
I go, well, what did we say off camera? What did we say on camera? I think that on camera is the story of how Trevor Zammit brought Turtles as a toy idea into NECA, and the sort of I don't want to say the flyer or the risk that he took, but he was like, listen, I'm going to put in my effort, my time into something and sort of pitch it, and it really works. So yeah, the origins of it are there.
But what we don't tend to do is talk about the business back and forth.
No, exactly. When it gets into like, well, why did we do this? Because the margins were that, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
like, we don't.
Trevor is awesome.
Yeah, he is.
Trevor
awesome.
is also extremely funny. If anyone ever gets a chance to meet him, you may not even realize how funny he is.
Right, man. Remember that secondary toy line he did when we were meeting with him at DC Comics?
It is beyond anybody's.
Burl Lancombe's. What was it?
Burl Lancombe's
Customs of the Universe or something like that.
Yeah.
Just genius.
I still have my Cosmogladunk.
Yeah, I have a T-shirt that has Scissor Lift on it. Scissor hands and those little tiny short legs. We were standing there in DC Comics, howling with laughter at his desk, looking at these
Trevor Zammit.
Oh my god,
Trevor Zammit is next level prank guy.
Yeah.
Hey, look, they're letting us go. They're giving us their
off.
blessing. They're giving us our blessing.
Yeah.
Thank you for your blessings.
And thank you. And we will do more updates. We will do more updates, and we can I don't know if we addressed all these concerns. I feel like there's a bunch of like FAQ concerns that we haven't gone through, but
frequently asked questions. That's what that stands for.
Keep asking them.
Yeah,
send them out in the
we'll keep responding.
Whatever, and we'll keep responding.
Yeah, every comment and everybody who's confused and everybody's trying to figure it out. We're always right there, fast on the keys. One of us to say, hey, this is how to do it, or this is where it is, or this is what.
Well, we'd like to do this on a weekly basis if we can, if people want to, and we'll maybe show some sneak peeks of some stuff. And out of this, some great ideas of what you guys want, like the card backs thing, Steve Varner Steining stuff. There's things we can make happen. And the other big thing is, share. Like get out there and share the link. Yeah, I know we've been funded, but maybe you guys want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah,
real quick.
Let's just say this very quickly. Just so you know, that the choice of the number was not our actual number to make this work. For us, it was a number to get across the finish line. The things that we're doing, we're batting well above our weight. So we hope it continues to climb so that we can really afford to do the things we want to do.
Yeah, and as we've learned that the social media landscape has changed, how we don't necessarily see what our friends are sharing. So I've actually been saying this on different interviews and stuff. If we're lucky enough to get on a podcast here or there, I always say to people, you know what? Talk to your friends. You don't even have to talk to them about or Kickstarter. You should just talk to them, but talk to them on the phone or text them or in person, which would be even better. And actually bring this up as the water cooler conversation. Remember those when we actually talked about the shows we watched and the things outside of social media? Because it just doesn't feel like people. I don't see it as much what people are seeing, what our friends say around us anymore. So we're asking our you guys as our our quote unquote army to say, hey everybody, let's think outside the box and help us share the message here, because there's a lot of other cool stuff we want to keep adding to this, but we only can get there if we can kind of break even and get through our real number.
Which we won't ever share because it would just make everybody sad. But what we will say is it is true that there are turtle content streams that get enormous numbers of people, including Paramount's anything Paramount does that's taking turtle power seems to get enormous numbers of people. But when we go to actually say, well, here we are, the people that made it, let's try and jump into the next one, it's just harder to pull those people together because we don't have the footprint and never built our business to have that footprint. Exactly. Like we ideally would make docs and then sell them and then hide in our little dark little cubby holes. So this is not our natural state to be out there trying to advocate for direct, hey everybody, come and look at us. It's just not our nature. So we need your help basically in order to do that. So anytime you can help us expand that footprint, then we can do what we need to do and get these things out there and get all the turtle fans the stuff they want to see.
Exactly. Thank you so much, everybody. We will see you again soon.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.